This video's for you, chaps magoo. The Dragon Tribal versus Sigarda, Yennet and Rasputin. Yeah, about a week or so ago I asked you all for some famous decks, quote unquote, and I had a viewer by the name of Everett Stats point out Tomer's tribal list from MTGGoldfish. So going to be playing that today, link is in the description to the original deck list, and full credit going to Tomer for this build. Decided to keep our first opener, and Yennet has gone for Hall of Heliod's Generosity. Just a forest for Sigarda. We will crack the Arid Mesa and go for a Triome. Oh, I missed that. The Sigarda player went for Search for Tomorrow on turn 1. And then drops a Plains into Blackblade Reforged. We draw into Irregular Cohort. So I think we'll save ourselves 2 life and just continue to get down the tap lands. Rasputin passing through the turn. And the Esper player goes for Darksteel Ingot. Search for Tomorrow is cast from the Exile Zone thanks to Suspend. So that will get a basic into play. And that allows our opponent into Solemn Simulacrum on turn 3. Also, Okina, Temple of the Grandfathers, has come into play as well. Another shock for us. We don't have any 3-drops. I'm not particularly bothered about getting down that hasty sliver, so we will pass. Don't want the sliver to eat any removal. Miss Meadow Witch is the first spell from Rasputin, and then Yennet is going for his commander. Next up from Sigarda is Nylea, God of the Hunt. And then we are wide open, so the Solemn Simulacrum comes barreling in towards us. Consistently making lands, so I think we are okay to go for Irregular Cohort here. It does cost 1 less, thanks to the Dragon. Noteworthy that if I'd gone for the Sliver last turn, they would have had haste and flying, so maybe should have gone for that. During the May phase, it is Blink of an Eye for the Azorius player, and that goes on to the Yennet. And then Yennet plays Bojuka Bog, pointing that at the Azorius player, so exiling the Blink of an Eye only from the graveyard. And then replaying the commander. A Nature's Law from Sigarda, and followed by Sigarda, Host of Herons. Of course, with the Blackblade Reforged in play, so that's something to worry about next turn. And now the Solemn Simulacrum heading in towards the Miss Meadow Witch. It is a peer pressure for us. Choose a creature type. If you control more creatures of that type than any other player, gain control of all creatures of that type. Alright. Well, we control more angels than our opponent. So, that's a Sphinx, a Kithkin Wizard. Yeah, I can't name Wizard, unfortunately. Yeah, I'm worried about a bunch of commander damage from this thing, so maybe we just go for this and name Angel. That'll give us a chance to get the tap land in as well. So, casting the peer pressure here. And name Angel, of course. Looks like this is resolving. And there we go, taking control of the Sigarda Host of Herons, so don't necessarily have to worry about that now. Does have hexproof, so they'll have to wipe the board here. 3 cards in hand over there. And I'll continue to just hold back the changelings, I think. I suppose I could have gone in at the Sigarda player, actually. Probably should have done that. Would have been holding back a 5-5. It's not like anyone's likely to swing in at us. A Sol Ring for the Azorius player. Played a Terramorphic Expanse as well. Cracking the Terramorphic Expanse for a tap land. And now it is a Cloud Blazer, so just drew 2 cards and gained 2 life, up to 6 cards in hand, and passing the turn at that, I dare say. So the Yennet player has got round to his turn again with a Yennet in play. And we see there a Propaganda, so 2 mana per creature that wants to attack in over there. Which obviously opens them up to actually swinging in with their commander. Playing a Brainstorm as well. And now the Yennet with Flying Vigilance and Menace swinging in. And that is a Scholar of the Last Trove. So that comes in, it targets the only instant and sorcery in the graveyard, which is the Brainstorm. So going for the Brainstorm again. That is the Rasputin player being attacked by the Yennet, by the way, as we can now see. Brainstorm being put into exile after that. That's an awesome one that I'm looking forward to using in my Paper Galia deck. Steel of the Godhead. So that is lifelink and can't be blocked on their commander now. Went for the Nylea, God of the Hunt. That is +2/+2. Going on to the Solemn Simulacrum. Also playing a Garruk's Uprising, so does get the card draw from that now that the Solemn is a 4/4. Not equipping the Blackblade Reforged though, probably just fishing for a Wrath with that. So it's round to our turn again. This time it is a Turn Timber Ranger, and this is an ally card, so whenever it or another ally enters, create a 2/2 wolf token, and it's a plus counter on the Turn Timber Ranger. So play the Wonderwine Hub, reveal the Valiant Changeling, and how much does this cost at the moment? Yeah, only 2 white mana. It's a shame I didn't decide to get the Cloud Shredder Sliver down before now. I was expecting more board wipes, to be honest, because we could be swinging in for a big Notorious Throng here, although that sets us up for a blowout with the board wipe, doesn't it? Yeah, let's go for the Turn Timber Ranger. So it triggers on entry itself, becomes a 3/3 straight away, and of course comes in with the wolf token. And then it's through to attacks. We can't block this thing anyway. I don't think they're going to swing this into Sigarda, but just in case. Yeah, I should have swung in it, the Sigarda player last turn. We'll just pass at that. I'd rather not lose any changelings, because if we can go wide on an opponent, then I want to be able to do it when we're casting Notorious Throng, because we'll get a bunch of fairy rogues with this. And there is Rasputin Dreamweaver, so we're the only ones without a commander now. Or without our commander at least. Removing a bunch of dream counters from that for the mana. And that goes near enough straight into a Muldrifter. I think they went for the 5 mana on that. Yeah, it does stay in play. Back up to 7 cards in hand. And of course, in a Flicker deck, Rasputin really good because you can make 7 mana with it every turn. So use a 1 mana spell or some kind of ability, such as from Miss Meadow Witch, in order to flicker that. And you'll be able to generate a ton of mana with it. And speaking of which, there's a Displace. So that was exile 2 target creatures you control and return them. So there is the Rasputin mana again. And the draw 2 cards was from Muldrifter. Unless they did it from the Cloud Blazer, probably should have flickered this if they didn't, because that would have been 2 life. I'm not sure if they did that or not. I thought I saw the Muldrifter go in and out. In fact, yes, this hasn't been given Summoning Sickness again, so flickering the Muldrifter instead for some reason. And rounding the turn off with an Arcane Signet, 7 cards in hand. And thanks to the Arcane Signet, can generate some more coloured mana. And speaking of generating coloured mana, Frantic Search as well. Loot 2 and untap 3 lands. And there's one of those 1 mana flicker spells I was talking about, Cloud Shift, going on to the Rasputin again. Still have some blue mana held up over there. And that's an X spell, Epiphany at the Drown Yard. So X is 10, reveal the top X plus 1 cards, so 11. Separate them into 2 piles, an opponent chooses one of them. And the chosen one goes into your hand. The other in the graveyard. So there's more untapping of lands there. They will have to counter a spell for that though. As the dreaded Deadeye Navigator, Generous Gift is over here now. Akroma's Vengeance, so making a removal pile seemingly. Momentary Blink, Bane of Bala Ged, and they are targeting with that the middle player here, the Esper player, so these are the piles as we see them now. I think I'd give them the top pile here, to be honest. Don't want them too heavy on removal. There is a chance to get rid of Deadeye Navigator, and it's when the trigger is on the stack. Yep, they did give the Deadeye Navigator over. And then it's through to the discard phase, getting rid of the Sky Diamond that he's just been given, a Plains and Worn Power Stone as well, so feeling alright on the mana front apparently. And Yannette going through to combat. That is us that's being attacked there. I was afraid of that. We're getting a Mind's Dilation for free. He has stacked the top of his library here. I'm not sure if he's shuffled again. I don't think so, but has stacked the top of the library with Brainstorm, so obviously put that on top, knowing that he would get into it on the attack here. And we're going to take at least 5 commander. Surprised they didn't go in at the Rasputin player after that turn, to be honest. Oh, and then approach of the second sun. So up to 52 life, and that's 7 cards down. They can reorganise the top few cards of the library, which is obviously what this thing's all about. And they'll be able to win the game for free. You need to see the back of Yannette, really. Thrun the Last Troll. And it can't be countered. And I think it was a forest that was exiled with the Mind's Dilation. It's not... Yeah, it's just exiled. It's not exile face down, so that must be the forest there. And then Ronas, the Indomitable. So drawing 2 cards there, thanks to their enchantment in Garruk's Uprising. Got a few secondary commanders, apparently. Well, players not liking what they're seeing from us, to be honest. I think we've been the mildest player here, but alright, a 6/6 Nylea swinging in towards us. Obviously, assuming or hoping that we're going to be blocking with the Sigarda. Not quite ready to do that just yet. A Gemhide Sliver will be a mana rock for us, or mana dorks. Yeah, I don't have too many shapeshifters, unfortunately. I don't think Notorious Throng is quite good enough yet, unfortunately. So maybe we're just aiming for the Ur Dragon. Although I don't see how much the Ur Dragon's going to do for us either, to be honest. I think it can cheat the Hakon into play, though. I assume the Ur Dragon is the only means of us getting Hakon into play. Draw that many cards and put a permanent onto the battlefield, yeah, so you're not casting it. So that's what we do with Hakon. So we'll go Gemhide Sliver and see what we give our opponent. Just giving them a land, so that's alright. And we'll go for the Cloud Shredder Sliver as well. So that gives our Slivers and Changelings both haste and flying. And they can tap for mana here as well. Yeah, I mean, I'm just going to lean right into the board wipe, to be honest. So that is an ally coming into play, so we'll make a Wolf token and put a plus counter on the Ranger. And yeah, I mean, I'll just swing in at the Sigarda player. I mean, both of these players, if they've got their eye on us, we need to start swinging back. So this is a 3/3 flyer with double strike. And should hit our opponent for 6. And next turn, if the Gemhide Sliver stays in play, we'll be able to afford our commander. Won't have haste, unfortunately, because the Ur Dragon is not a Sliver. So maybe it's worth just setting up with the Notorious Throng next turn and getting the extra turn. Get a few rogues out of the deal as well. Anyway, no point making any plans just yet because the Flicker player might go off here. It's a Ghostly Flicker, again onto the Muldrifter and the Rasputin. I don't know why they're not flickering the Cloud Blazer. Anyway, it's a Distorting Wake being exiled from the Mind's Dilation. And yeah, deciding to cast that, but X will always be 0 off effects like that, so not doing anything ultimately. They haven't had the best of luck with the Mind's Dilation yet. Went for that momentary blink that we saw previously. So I assume that was onto the Rasputin, because they're still at 7 cards in hand. There's the Hand of Emrakul, so Annihilator 1, and a 7/7. And here it is, the Deadeye Navigator, so the only chance we've got to do something about Deadeye Navigator is while the Soulbond trigger is on the stack. And it has been successfully tied to the Rasputin, so if they flicker the Rasputin, it'll enter and want to Soulbond again, so once again we will be able to respond, but it seems as though no one's got anything. So the Rasputin being flickered there, again Soulbond on the stack, so yeah, when Deadeye Navigator was running rampant all over the format, everyone was calling for it to be banned, and it's definitely not ban worthy. It's just people didn't know how to play around it clearly, so if it's something you're struggling with, that is how you deal with Deadeye. While the Soulbond trigger is on the stack, it can't flicker itself out of harm's way, so yeah, just bear that in mind before calling for bans. Turn to Mist, exiled a creature and brought it back, so was that the Rasputin again? No, it was targeting the Muldrifter, so Muldrifter comes back at the end of the turn with Turn to Mist. So nowhere near as crazy a turn there, but they can still protect both their Deadeye Navigator, or actually they'd have to choose one or the other because they've only held up 1 blue mana, strangely, in the Arcane Signet. So they can either protect the Deadeye or the Rasputin. They might have Ephemerate or something like that, the other 1 mana flicker spell in white. Tidings is draw 4 cards for the Esper player, so we'll go up to 8 in hand. That's an unwind from the Rasputin player, so discarding or exiling even a Tranquil Grove. Again, bad luck from the Mind's Dilation. We'll get to untap some lands here though, so yeah, I'm concerned that that's the main reason that he cast the unwind there, just to get himself some more different colours of mana. Anyway, an Arcane Signet. Only 3 cards for Yennet now. Hopefully that Yennet doesn't keep barreling in towards us. I fully expect the Sigarda player to swing in at us, but hopefully Yennet doesn't. Yep, going in at Rasputin as punishment. Probably should have gone in there last turn as well, because this is the player to worry about, I think. Esper Charm is just draw 2 cards. That came off the Yennet swinging in. Now we've got to see how much damage we're going to be dealt here. Lots of trample creatures to worry about, and not much chance of us removing that trample. The Sigarda player pretty much has to keep coming in towards us if he wants his commander back. Just played a land as well, so the problem is he can buff the... buff with the Nylea and still recast the Sigarda. Well, we'll see what attacks he makes first. We also have to worry about Blackblade Reforged, and there are plenty of legendary creatures to choose from. Oof, there is a Sword of Feast and Famine. If he wants to equip that, he won't be able to recast the Sigarda though. And now the Esper player's getting a Glorious Sunrise, and is deciding to cast that. Sylvan Library as well for the Celestia player. Only 4 mana now, so can either go for the sword or the equip on the Blackblade. Probably goes for the sword, you would think, to untap mana, although only 2 cards in hand. Maybe hoping to get the Sigarda back and recast it. Equipping the sword onto Ronas the Indomitable, Death Touch and Indestructible. So that jumps up to a 7/7. Pretty sure this is 3 to equip. Yes it is, so can't equip that. So I don't think we can actually... Yeah, we've got 2, 4, 5. Yeah, if we'd held this back and been a bit less aggressive. It is coming in towards us. Yeah, we've got too many green creatures for that, unfortunately. The 6/6 Nylea swinging in at us as well. Now the problem is they're going to untap with the sword. I would actually give them Sigarda in an attempt to get them to lay off us, but they're just going to be able to recast it again, and then they'll probably still keep coming in towards us as punishment. So we'll block with a wolf token, a wolf token. That's 2 damage from that, and then 9 damage in total. Yeah, it doesn't feel good, but I don't think there's anything else we can really do there. So the Sword of Feast and Famine does trigger. We're just going to discard the hack on. Regenerating... Can that regenerate another creature? No, it's just regenerate. Yeah, so they might as well put a regeneration shield on this before they untap their lands. Discard the hack on to the Feast and Famine. We are down to 16, so it's not looking particularly good for us. And that does allow the Blackblade Reforged to be equipped to the Nylea, God of the Hunt here. That's 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, plus 9, plus 9. So the Nylea, God of the Hunt, is now a 15/15. Might be that we don't land the Notorious Throng through the blue mana as well, so yeah, there's blue mana here also. Yeah, I don't think I'd particularly be bothered about countering a Notorious Throng if I was them, but it is an extra turn card that gives us a bunch of tokens, so it might be something that they look for doing. Yuriko the Tiger's Shadow is card advantage. Alright, so we'll go through to combat. Does this care about... Oh, it's just damage dealt to your opponents. It doesn't care about whether they were rogues or changelings. Alright, well that makes a difference. So we'll go through to attacks. Swing everything in at the Celestia player, except for those 2. Swing everything in at the Celestia player, apart from the Turntimber Ranger. And then this is definitely 6 for the Prowl, yes, 5 and 1. So we're going to be getting 17 fairy tokens as it stands. Need to definitely remember the propaganda with all these tokens in play. But we'll go for the Prowl cost on Notorious Throng. And we'll pray that this goes through. A Knight Exemplar. They might as well cast that off the Mind's Dilation. Yeah, would be giving our changelings as well as the hack on. Indestructible there, as well as an Anthem effect. I used to run back in the day during our casual 60 card kitchen table days. Knight Exemplar with hack on in a black-white knight deck. Not sure how easy it would be to get into black-white knights again in the 100 card singleton format. Okay, so surprisingly that does land. We get our bunch of Flying Fairy tokens, and it just so happens to be exactly enough to take out the Celestia player, which we might have to do, unfortunately. Although Rasputin's up to something. Maybe thinking that this is the end of my turn, not realising that there is an extra turn after this one. Anyway, flickering the Rasputin, it comes back in with the counters, of course. Miss Meadow Witch being activated onto the Muldrifter, flickering that again, missing out on a lot of extra life here. Maybe he thinks that you only draw 1 card with this. Anyway, our extra turn starts, and we get into a Steam Vents. So do we just go for the Dragon here? Yeah, I think that's okay. Problem is, we're only going to be swinging in with one dragon here in the Valiant Changeling, so yeah, and we won't be able to go for Yuriko either, although I don't think Yuriko is going to do anything particularly incredible for us. Dragon doesn't have haste either, like I said, thanks to the Sliver Tribal stuff. So I think we'll try and dedicate the least amount to attacks. Don't have to turn all these fairies in sideways if we don't have to. It can be 5, and then that's 11. Yeah, noteworthy that if I'd taken 4 points of damage off my opponent previously, then we wouldn't have had to dedicate as many tokens here. But I don't feel as though we're going to be doing much of anything anyway, so we'll trigger the Dragon. Probably just get into another land. We've had a Mana Confluence exiled off the top from the Mind's Dilation, by the way. Okay, well, there's Tazri, Beacon of Unity. Look at the top 6 cards. You may reveal up to 2 Cleric, Rogue, Warrior, Wizard and or Ally cards from amongst them. Put them into your hand. The rest on the bottom in a random order. We will get an Ally trigger here. Oh, actually, surprisingly, that's not an ally. Yeah, of course, it's the other Tazri that's an ally, isn't it? Thought we were going to get the trigger from the Turn Timber Ranger there, but unfortunately not. Okay, and eventually taking that player down, so it is now round to the end step. Mist Meadow Witch will trigger, and this is going to bring out the Muldrifter. A Marble Diamond, and again, another land exiled off the top from the Mind's Dilation. Absolutely inexcusable that that's white border, by the way. Plenty cheap to buy this in black border. And our disappointing friend over here decides to just go through to the Esper player's turn, so yeah, both the blue players full of cards in hand, surprise surprise. See if they try and gang up on us to make it a 1v1. Nope, the Yannette is swinging in again towards the Flicker player. Completely unblockable, and is that 8 commander damage? Yeah, 8 commander damage from Yannette, 5 more incoming. Terramorphic Expanse played and cracked. And then another Sphinx in Sphinx Summoner. When it enters the battlefield, search for an artifact creature card, put it into your hand. And in response to that, the Mist Meadow Witch is flickering the Muldrifter. I think our opponent might have missed out on about 10 life with this now. Searching up a Magister Sphinx, so target player's life total becomes 10. You would assume that would go on the Azorius player, but it might go on us. Windfall. Not entirely against it, we've only got 2 cards in hand. It would have been nice to go for the Yuriko, but this is a faster way of drawing cards, and we weren't getting into anything too incredible anyway, apparently. Sliver Overlord. Yeah, searching for some changelings. Catter and Summons, so that's changelings as well. Feline Sovereign is an Anthem effect. Deals combat damage to a player, destroy an artifact or enchantment they control. Could be useful. Don't think we're going to be able to go wide in order to get to the propaganda, though. Yeah, and it does have to be an artifact or enchantment that player controls. Got a Shapesharer as well. Okay, and the first spell of the turn at the end of the Esper player's turn, that is Essence Flux. Another single mana flicker spell. Again, going on to the Muldrifter. And there we go, there's the Ephemerate. So they didn't have it in their hand, apparently. They had it on the top of the library. They have to be careful with this, because it is... Yeah, it does have rebound, so... Oh, it wasn't cast from the hand, though, so scratch that. It doesn't bring it back into play under your control, though. It's under its owner's control, unlike Cloud Shift. The really good thing about Cloud Shift is that you can exile something that you've gained control of and bring it back under your control permanently. So even if it removes control magic, the aura, or something like that, which is a handy thing to know sometimes. Anyway, flickering the Scholar of the Lost Trove, so gets another trigger with that. And pointing that at the Magister Sphinx, which has been discarded to the Windfall. So they can cast this without paying the mana cost, and they do. So there is the Magister Sphinx. Yep, pointed at the Azorius player, as it probably should be. Then the Muldrifter coming back into play, 9 cards in Rasputin's hand. I'm just wondering if Shapeshifter could become a copy of any relevant creature. Could become a copy of the Knight, I suppose, in response to a board wipe, but that's pretty slow. Anyway, that was Flicker of Fate, and up to 10 cards in hand now, so that was the Muldrifter again. Our turn, getting to Rooftop Storm, which is a means of playing stuff for free, zombie cards specifically. Could go for Mirror Entity with the fairies. Yeah, we can't deal enough damage. It's the propaganda that's messing us up here, really. Not likely to be able to go wide. We don't have any means of evasion other than flying. Yeah, I'm not entirely sure what to do here. As you all know, it's not my deck, it is Tomer's, so I'll go for the Cateran Summons, and we'll see if we can get into any changeling that's actually relevant. They grab a changeling from us, that is Woodland Changeling. Alright, there's Masked Vandal. Yeah, that's going to be relevant, isn't it? Exile a creature, so we can get rid of the Yuriko, which we've just been forced to discard. Yeah, that's a good idea. It does mean that we don't have the Mirror Entity in play, unfortunately. Maybe Morophon. Yeah, I don't think Morophon's relevant. Just has to be the Masked Vandal here, I think. So we will play the Masked Vandal. Oh, and I forgot that's one less to cast thanks to the Dragon, isn't it? So Turn Timber Ranger will trigger. We will point ourselves at the Propaganda. Exile the Yuriko to do it. And then it's a plus counter on the Turn Timber Ranger as well as a Free Wolf. And then just to not waste the mana that I overtapped is Feline Sovereign as well. So we'll give Cats and Dogs +1/+1, which will be +2/+2 on our changelings. And then we'll swing in with as many things as we can here. We've got a couple of 5/5s to contend with. We can recast changelings with the hack on out of the bin, although we won't be doing it this turn. I want to swing in with as many things as possible because it will trigger the Dragon a bunch. Yeah, I'm not sure if the Flying Double Striker is going to be relevant. It's a 4/4 at the moment. Not sure if it's going to be relevant. We've got a couple of 5/5s, like I said, an unblockable 5/7, so yeah, I'm just going to go aggressive. We'll swing in like that. That will put the Dragon on the stack. And, okay, we've got the Utvara Hellkite, which can make some dragons, which will be really good blockers. Not sure how many dragons we're going to hit with here. I think that's the thing to go for, though. Sliver Overlord next turn as part of some combat trick with the sliver that I was talking about to buff all the fairies. That's probably what we do next turn. Yeah, okay, let's go for the Utvara Hellkite. Oh, this actually triggers on attacks as opposed to damage. Alright, so we won't be getting any dragons from this. Unfortunately, got it in too late. So the 4/4 Double Striker goes down to the Yennet, as you would expect. Oh, actually, they will lose their Yennet if they're not careful. Yeah, it doesn't have protection or anything, does it? I'm still thinking of that sword. The 5/5 is blocking that as well. Then the 5/5 going on the token, so that will die. So the Dragon gets through for 10 points of commander. We will take out... Yeah, we'll take out their Yennet here, I think. Because we'll deal our 4 first strike damage first, and then an additional 4 will get rid of the commander. So getting rid of the commander, the 2 Sphinxes stay in play. Feline Sovereign is going to trigger, and we can blow up... What do we blow up here? There's a couple of artifact Sphinxes. I think it has to be the Mind's Dilation, doesn't it, really? Because that is free spells for them. I'd like to get the blockers out of the way, but we're planning on going wide with these fairies, I think. Yeah, wondering why his commander died there. I don't think he understands quite how Double Strike works, unfortunately. Now the Mist Meadow Witch, again going on the Muldrifter. Will probably be close to 30 life if he'd been going on that Cloud Blazer, but anyway, I've said that a million times. So now we've got 1, 2, 3 mana. 4 if we get in an untapped land, but I don't think it really matters. We could just recast the hack on, I think, and get down a tap land. I think that's the most efficient use of our mana. So hack on a knight that allows us to cast knights from the graveyard. We will lose 2 life when it dies, which might be relevant when we're at 16. Rasputin doing something in response. That is just soul bonding, so flickering the Rasputin. Okay, that was Rasputin being flickered there. So yeah, just trying to add the counters back. Muldrotha back into play once again. 12 cards that the Azorius player will be starting with. 13 once the draws happened. I'll go for the Moth Dust Changeling here because we can cast it from the graveyard. So discard that to hand size. Alright, and yeah, hopefully that's sarcasm and not salt. I mean, you can just look at the card if you want to know it has Double Strike. I mean, it's right there, written on the card, Double Strike. Vanish into memory. And they are exiling the Dragon. So they're going to do a slow loot here. Return it to the command zone. No, we do not, because it's going to come back in with the effect that's on there. So they draw 10 cards, going up to 22. And they're going to have to discard 10 at the end of the turn. This is going to be a long one, though, I reckon. So Rasputin flickering with the Deadeye Navigator, and then Miss Meadow Witch going on to the Hand of Emrakul. Miss Meadow Witch then going on to the Deadeye Navigator. Not sure. Oh, is it? This only comes in at the next end step, I see. So they're probably exiling their stuff until the end step so that they can wipe the board here. I imagine that that's what the aim is. Maybe a Supreme Verdict, something like that. Which does hurt, but we are going to end up with an Dragon still in play at least. Yeah, the plan was next turn to go for the Sliver Overlord with the Dragon and then search up Mirror Entity with that. And buff all of our creatures a bunch. Miss Meadow Witch protecting the commander. Oh, this is actually at the beginning of your next upkeep. It's not at the beginning of the end step, unfortunately, so yeah, not going to get the Dragon back in time, unfortunately. Cleansing Nova is destroying all creatures, so we're on the Hakon plan next turn, I think. Noteworthy that this stayed in play thanks to, where is it, the Knight Exemplar. It was indestructible, because this obviously counts as a knight. We lose 2 life to the Hakon dying as well, which we did say would happen. Where is it? Yeah, when it dies you lose 2. Charming Prince now, which usually goes for the Scry 2, unless there's actually stuff to flicker in play, which there obviously isn't. Alright, just going for the 3 life instead, so our opponent does care about life gain. Wayfarer's Bauble, down to 17 cards. We'll have to discard 10 though, don't forget. And then Miss Meadow Witch goes on the stack at the end of the turn, so brings back the Hand of Emrakul, the Deadeye Navigator, and the Rasputin, of course. Now, might be a good idea to go for Crux of Fate while we've got the chance to get rid of Deadeye Navigator, but what I'd like to do is set up Hakon along with the other knight, the Knight of Exemplar, and then we can go for the Haste Sliver and stuff next turn and swing in with the Dragon, because we'll have that back in play. Problem is that the Azorius player would have untapped between now and then. And if we've got enough black mana, we've got 1, 2, 3, yeah, 4, just enough. We can actually go for Crux of Fate and Hakon, so I wonder if that's worth doing. I think that's the loose plan here. Yennet coming back into play. I dare say our opponent won't be too happy about that getting wrapped up in the Wrath here. Also playing out a Grand Colosseum. Tapping out though, seemingly. Yep, that's an idyllic shooter, so going after another enchantment for the Yennet, I would think. And then the 2/2 Shapeshifter swings in towards us. They went after a Ghostly Prison, so really wants that Prison Fort effect. Or Pillow Fort effect, it's called. We do still have access to the Masked Vandal, which is really good with the Hakon that we're about to get back into play, so yeah, don't think that Ghostly Prison might do everything that they hoped it will. Anyhow, round to our turn, we get another Shockland, yeah. Seeing as how it's Magic Online, I think I'd treat myself to the jewels in this deck. I don't think the jewel lands are in here. And we are at quite a low life total, although it was due to some questionable swings, I think. So we go for carefully not tapping out all of our black mana. And we are destroying all non-dragon creatures. So the Shapeshifter obviously counts as a dragon, and that will probably swing in at us next turn. But I just really want to see the back of Deadeye Navigator and the Rasputin for now. I think both of our opponents will have their eye on us anyway, so might as well play into it. So that successfully lands. And we will go for Ancient Amphitheatre, so reveal a giant. Obviously the Shapesharer is a giant, so that will come into play untapped. And then, as per the plan, it is Hakon. And next turn, I think it's an untapped land if we can do it. We get the Dragon back now during the Azorius player's upkeep. We've got the Haste Sliver, the Gemhide Sliver for mana. And then we'll have 1, 2, 3, 4, maybe 5 mana held up. Not necessarily going to care about the Sliver Overlord anymore though, because the Mirror Entity isn't as good without all of those fairies in play. So maybe we just go ham with playing stuff out of the bin. Leave our opponents wondering about what's in our hand. Alright, Ulamog. The Infinite Gaia has been discarded. Not sure what's happened there. Oh, did they have to discard the 10 at the beginning of their upkeep as well? I thought they did that at the end of the turn. Anyway, they've gone down to only one card and had to shuffle thanks to the Ulamog. So they've got a chance to get back into their flicker stuff, but they are in top deck mode here. I think we really threw a spanner in the works with that board wipe. Rasputin Dreamweaver back in play. So it is Rasputin back in play, 1 card and 4 mana held up. And then it's over to the Esper player's turn. Okay, there's Generous Gift, went on to our commander, so back into the command zone. Yes, we can. It's noteworthy that if we did have the Mirror Entity in play off the Sliver Overlord, as well as the Knight Exemplar, then we could have turned it into a 1/1 Knight, and it would have become indestructible there, but unfortunately that hasn't been the case for us. Definitely want to see the back of the Ghostly Prison, I think. A Gilded Lotus, 3 cards in hand and 4 mana available. And that is a Thasser, God of the Sea, so 2 cards left, not looking incredible for the Esper player. 2/2 not likely to swing in towards a 3/3 anyway. I think I would have maybe swung in towards Rasputin, although maybe looking for some kind of, alliance here. Alright, there's a Sol Ring. So I think the first thing we want is the Cloud Shredder Sliver. Oh, of course, I'm getting mixed up with the whole Changeling thing. Yeah, we can't cast the Slivers from the bin, it's only the Changelings. Yeah, well that whole plan was bust anyway. Right then, well we definitely want the Knight Exemplar, I think, as well as the Masked Vandal. So we'll play out the Sol Ring first of all, and we'll be able to get out the Dragon next turn I think if we want to, although it will be pretty slow. Out comes the Knight Exemplar and the Masked Vandal. Get rid of the Ghostly Prison. I think this can... Yeah, can't be blocked this turn. That's... Oh, it's a target creature you control. Okay, so Thasser can make itself unblockable, which is relevant. Doesn't have the devotion to blue yet, fortunately for us. We will exile the Feline Sovereign. Actually, probably should have exiled the Tazri there. Not sure if we could have reanimated the Feline anyway. I will shock down the Hallowed Fountain, because we need double white. And I want to get the Irregular Cohort into play. Costs 1 less thanks to the Dragon, don't forget. And then we can go Mother Dust Changeling as well to give that flying just in case. Might be able to chump block something. And I don't think it matters if we keep a Shapeshifter in hand at this point, so we'll go for the Shapesharer. Might want to make that a copy of something. And I think we need to look at getting rid of the Azorius player at this point, because the more control players that are in the game, the more likely it is that we get our board raft again. Although we are indestructible, but also against exile colours. This is more than half their life total if they take this. Do decide not to block. So down to 6 life they go. Still in top deck mode. And there we go. There is the board wipe. I mean, luckily we got the Knight Exemplar into play. This doesn't give itself indestructible. So we keep most of our board here. It's just the Elephant and the Knight Exemplar that we lose. We'll be able to recast the Knight Exemplar unless it gets exiled here, thanks to Hakon. We also get another Changeling to cast next turn if we want. Rasputin back into play. And still 1 card in hand over there, so looks as though we're going to be able to go wide. And the 1 card that they had in hand was a Frantic Search, so they're just going to be drawing 2, discarding 2. So they just discard their hand, basically. Yeah, they had a Distorting Wake and a Sky Diamond in hand. Don't forget they did shuffle their hand thanks to the Ulamog before. No card advantage from the Frantic Search. You do need cards in hand in order to make use of that. Now it's a Scry 1 from Thasser. Bounce land from our opponent there, so we know one of the cards in hand is a land at the moment. Ugin's Insight, Scry X, where X is the highest mana value, so that is only 3. And draw 3 as well. They do have time thanks to that high life total. Scheming Symmetry and targeting the Azorius player, so if we get rid of them next turn it doesn't really matter what they tutor for. Every chance that the Esper player has something like Ether Spouts or Settle the Wreckage, something like that, so it's something that we have to play around. And the fact that they've got Pillow Fort stuff does add credence to the idea that they would have that in the deck. Although, if we're to win in combat, then I just suppose we have to play into it. Maybe they go for Cyclonic Rift or something like that, because a board wipe won't help them if we keep the Knight Exemplar in play. Whatever it is, it took them a while to look for it, so that does suggest that it's not an obvious play, which might suggest that it's not your typical Cyclonic Rift or Settle the Wreckage, something like that. Merciless Eviction would help them. They're in the colours for Merciless Eviction, although again that's an obvious choice, so probably not in the deck. A Reconnaissance to remove an attacking creature so they can swing in and get their combat step trigger, their attack trigger from the Yaheni. And then 3 cards in hand. Is our opponent going to interfere with us? They do have a couple of fresh cards most likely from the card draw spell. We know one of them is a land thanks to the bounce land. Yeah, more shocks, doesn't feel good. Go for the Knight Exemplar. And then I think pretty much the only thing we can do here is go, because the Air Dragon was too slow, although we lost our Sol Ring anyway. I think the only thing we can really do is go for the Sliver Overlord and hope to get into Mirror Entity next turn. Yeah. Let's swing in first. See what happens. So if we go wide with those 3 on the Azorius player, hopefully there's no interference from the Esper player and we can swing these in that direction. Blocking the Hakon with the Rasputin, and then maybe the Knight Exemplar can go down here and keep it from being indestructible, but that's just something that we have to play into, I think. We need to chip this Esper player down as much as we can. Alright, awesome. So that gets rid of them. 46 on the Esper player. So now it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and we can still go for an indestructible Woodland Changeling. Yeah, I'm not sure what they've gone after, but if we're playing into something, then so be it. Don't want to give them any more time than we have to. So there's the Sliver Overlord. Problem is, if we play Sliver Overlord and Tutor on the same turn, we are lacking on mana, so even if we got the Mirror Entity, then we couldn't play it and make use of it in the same turn. Yeah, we're going to have to shock something in. Let's just go for the Watery Grave, because I do want to get another body into play. Not sure how much life... Oh, damn it, I forgot all about... Yeah, I keep forgetting that these cost 1 less, thanks to the Ur Dragon, so just shot myself for no reason. Yeah, leave it at that. Luckily, haven't seen a Lightning Greaves or a Swiftfoot Boots yet from my opponent. We've got the Thassa looming as well, although it doesn't seem as though they're going to be able to get too much devotion in play. Playing a commander creature, seemingly, so I assume it's Yennet coming into play. They did just get what they tutored for. Okay, it's a Void Winnower. So I'm assuming that's what it was. Can't cast spells with even mana values. Can't block with creatures of even mana values. So we can hold back the Hakon to block that thing with. Oh no, it's that we can't block. Yeah, opponents can't block creatures with even mana values. Alright, so that is this thing. Luckily this thing has an odd mana value. Draw into a Risen Reef. A little bit too late for that, although you can obviously see the synergy with it. Let's search for a Sliver card. There is a means of making your opponent stuff every creature type, so that's really good with Sliver Overlord to gain control of things. We will pay for this first though. Go for the Mirror Entity and play the Mirror Entity. And then I'm just going to risk shocking down the Shockland here. I haven't actually worked out combat, so if we lose from this point, so be it. It's been a good game. Been a good showing for Tomer's deck. Yeah, we pretty much have to swing in with everything so that we can play around blocks and removal, like Swords to Plowshares and stuff like that. So the Void Winnower blocking the Sliver Overlord. Sliver Overlord will become indestructible here thanks to the Mirror Entity. Although we are tapping out into this thing. So 6 going into X. And they will gain all creature types, so all indestructible, all 7/7s. Thanks to the Anthem effect. This is obviously a 6/6 because it's other creatures. And we'll see if our opponent's got anything. Alright, they didn't have anything. Excellent. So knocking them down to -9. Yeah, like I said, that was a really good showing of Tomer's deck there. Tribal this is called, and the deck list will be in the description. Big thank you to Everett Stats for asking me to play this one. I did ask in a recent community post if there's any kind of famous decks from other YouTubers and websites and articles and things like that that you'd like me to play. Thought it would be a fun thing to do before the new set comes out. So a big thank you to Everett for that, and Tomer for building the deck, of course. I'm tribalkai on the EDH channel. Thank you for watching.